What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another post game here on METS Central. And the Mets win 7-3 over the Colorado Rockies. And before we jump into the recap here, please be sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're a Met fan, and turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live on the channel. And man, was it nice to actually go back to Citi Field again, because I have not been since opening day, and for honestly no reason. Like, I could have went multiple different times, but I just have not been since then. And what a game to go to, because I got to see Christian Scott pitch, and I forgot how much more dialed in I could be on a game when I'm in the ballpark, because I have so many more thoughts than I usually have with this game, or just with games in general, versus when I'm watching on TV, where when I'm watching on TV, it's like sometimes I get distracted, this and that sort of deal. And then on top of that, again, like, you don't get to, there are little things that you just can notice a little more when you're at the game. But in terms of the game itself, let's recap it, talk about it. So the first inning, 2 strikeouts for Christian Scott right off the rip, and I'm like, all right, this is what we want from Christian Scott, because he was generating, like, he hasn't generated a lot of strikeouts recently. Like, a lot of his pitching has been ground ball pitching, and he has allowed some rough contact, which was no exception, unfortunately, in this start. But regardless of that, gets the first 2 strikeouts, had his fastball working early, which I really like to see. And then Ryan McMahon pops out. We go to the bottom of the first, where unfortunately the Mets had really uncompetitive at-bats as they struck out all 3 in a row, all 3 batters in a row, that is. Second inning, a little more shaky for a guy, for Christian Scott. Allows a flyout from Diaz, and then allows a single from Doyle. Doyle, though, gets caught stealing, which Luis Torrens, this guy's arm behind the plate is unbelievable. I cannot believe Omar Narvaez was even rostered at one point, and this is what we have now at the backup catcher spot. And I can't thank the Yankees enough for giving this guy to the Mets for free, because he, like, could you imagine where the Mets would be right now without Luis Torrens? And I mean, he did pretty good offensively today, to an extent, of course, because there were, like, the Rockies defense was brutal today. But regardless, the pop out then ends the inning, which, again, a little bit of contact there, which you don't like, but it ends the inning. We go to the bottom of the second, where Pete Alonso gets a single. DJ Stewart ends up walking. Vientos lines out. Ben Gamel draws a walk. Bases loaded with 1 out. And I got completely worried. I'm like, Ferenz, just please come through. And again, it ends up working out. A fielder's choice, and then a terrible error by Rogers there on the throw, and that ends up allowing 2 runs to score, which that should have been a routine double play inning over, and it didn't end up being that way. Jeff McNeil then got an RBI double to make it 4-0. So Jeff McNeil getting hits now, which it makes no sense with Jeff McNeil in general. This guy just uncompetitive at bats later on, although his last at bat wasn't terrible, but had some uncompetitive bats for the most part, and that's just the thing that's been with McNeil. And then he just gets the most random clutch hits. It just makes no sense. But regardless, Lindor gets on with a walk, and how about a little bit of a double steal? And it sucked the Mets couldn't capitalize a little more, because unfortunately Nimmo would strike out. Martinez, who had a really brutal day at the plate, grounds out. We go to the 3rd inning, where Jake Cave gets a home run, which I don't even know how that left the park. It didn't even look that bad off of the bat. I mean, I want to actually see, like, what the exit velo was on it. Yeah, 98.5. It didn't look bad. I'm not going to kill Christian Scott for that home run, because at the end of the day, that's like a very weak hit ball, and I don't know. I'm not going to kill him for that. But regardless, gets a line out then, and then Hilliard gets a double, and then gets the next 2 outs, a ground out and a fly out. So again, a little bit of contact outs. And the one thing that was worrying me with Christian Scott as the outing went along, I should say, I felt like he was relying too heavily on the fastball, and it's really, it just is the case, because he threw 48 four-seams, and his second most thrown pitch was a slider with 17. I felt like he was relying on it way too much, and I don't know if there was a conversation in the dugout or what, because in the 4th inning, things ended up changing a bit, but, like, I just didn't understand the game plan there in terms of why he was throwing so many fastballs. And this is where it comes back to the conversation, though, where I just feel like it's time to let Alvarez catch a game for Christian Scott. And if you have to mix up the rotation, fine, do it, because I get that you want Jose Quintana to be caught by Alvarez because you see the numbers and it just is what it is. But at the end of the day, Alvarez is just making every pitcher better. Like, why not switch around things with the rotation a bit? So then maybe you go with, you split up Manaea, Scott, Quintana. So then Alvarez could get a day off and then Torrens could catch for like Severino or someone. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas there, which I think the rotation did get messed up a bit, obviously, at one point when Severino got his spot moved with that Cubs-Yankees sort of deal. But I just feel like they need to switch things around there with the rotation out of the All-Star break, because if you could get Christian Scott to throw to Alvarez, I think that could unlock Christian Scott even more, because I still think he looks good. But again, I think that it's just simple. Like, Alvarez calls a really good game, and it's no knock on Torrens, who I just was hyping up, but I just feel that it is that way. Bottom of the third, though, since I rambled too much there, a pop out from Alonso. Stewart strikes out, Vientos strikes out, and then Gamble strikes out. You might be asking, how did Stewart get on? Well, a wild pitch by the throw afterwards ends up getting him on base, and yeah, that ended the inning, which a lot of luck for DJ Stewart to get on base today, because he didn't look great, but he ended up getting on base a couple of times. Fourth inning, McMahon with a double, and then Diaz strikes out, and that's why I was saying, like, put me in the dang dugout. Put me in the dugout. I'll put Christian Scott on some game. All jokes aside here, because I'm not a pitching coach and I'm not smart enough to do that at all. I'm not claiming any of that, so please take a joke. Gets a strikeout there. What he throws his put away pitch, a slider, and then gets a ground out, hits Rogers with a pitch, but then he gets cave out. What was his put away pitch? Slider. And the only thing that does suck is that it felt like he did start to get a little slider heavy, but at the same time, it's not like it was him trying to use as his put away pitch and failing. It was more so just him throwing it in the middle of that bat. So it's like, it's hard to get on him for that even. But bottom of the fourth, Torrens flies out, McNeil grounds out, 2 walks from Lindor and Nimmo, and then they go to the bullpen and bring in Justin Lawrence, and then Martinez grounds out, which JD Martinez, though, in general, I'm going to be honest, I did not like any of his at-bats today, and I know that he's slumping a bit, but I think it's time I think he needs to sit for tomorrow's game. You got to give him rest, because at this point, it's not good enough right now, and maybe a day off will help him a bit, and going into the All-Star break, why not just give him a little bit of extra rest, considering he is struggling to this degree. But we get to the 5th inning and gets a strikeout again and threw the fastball there, though, on the put away, which was interesting considering it felt like it was so slider heavy, which that's why I'm like, why did the game plan keep on changing? And then Hillier got a single on the slider. Charlie Blackmon then crushes a home run into the upper deck on the slider. And it's like, maybe that's why they got away from it. But I felt I don't know. I felt his slider looked good for the most part. Just, again, he hung that one, the Charlie Blackmon, which really sucks because he tanked that one. I want to actually see the exit velo on that as well. If I could find it. It was... There it is, 105 off the bat. Yeah, I mean, that one was just a no-doubter off of the bat. But, I don't know, like, I didn't mind him still going to that slider because he didn't allow hard contact on the single before, and it's just unfortunately he hung one. Ezekiel Tavar then gets a double. McMahon walks, and at that point you had to pull the plug, which, again, would you have liked more from Christian Scott? Yes, and I think that all of us will, but I'm also sitting here realizing I don't want to expect the world from the kid because you got to give him time. Like, I know that he's 25, so he's on the older end, but not everyone's going to come up and be Noah Syndergaard right away. And if you do try to be Noah Syndergaard, you might run yourself into the ground very early, and I don't want them to do that with Christian Scott. And thankfully, Mendoza took him out of the game, and Jose Budo got a big double play there before the game could have went heavily out of hand. We go to the 5th inning. Alonso strikes out, Stewart with a single, and then Vientos strikes out, Gamble with a ground out. 6th inning, 3 strikeouts for Jose Budo. I'm becoming the biggest Jose Budo fan in the world, and you tell me that 2 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. But regardless, we go to the bottom of the 6th. Torrens had a leadoff double, and unfortunately, the Mets did nothing with it. McNeil was able to move the runner over, and I'm like, maybe we get a run here, and no, that did not happen. But Bader would come in to play center. DJ Stewart came out of the game at that point, and then Nimmo moved to left field, and then Ben Gamble moved over the right. And then Jose Butto again, 1-2-3 inning, 2 strikeouts. His fastball was sitting. He was throwing some heavy stuff. Like his fastball was getting up 96, 97 a bit, which was pretty nice to see. Which sure, it's not that heavy of stuff from a reliever, but still, like I thought that it was solid. His stuff and his changeup looked very good in my opinion today as well. I really liked what Jose Butto did, and like I said yesterday, you needed to use him today, and especially because Christian Scott's probably on a pitch limit. But yeah, I really like what we got from Jose Butto today. But we go to the bottom of the 7th. Mets go down in order. 8th inning, a single allowed and then a walk. Nunez comes in, gets a big double play, gets a pop out. No big deal at all. Bottom of the 8th, Vientos flies out. Ben Gamble, who had unbelievable at-bats today, draws another walk, which, again, I know he went over 2, but hey, I will take 2 drawn walks from Ben Gamble, considering he's probably not even supposed to be on this roster right now. Lorenz gets hit by a pitch, gets a little sore, and then on a wild pitch, the runners advance. McNeil pops out, but Francisco Lindor hits a piss missile to center field to make it 7-3. And right then and there, you knew the game was on lock. And I'm so glad, because I was so worried. The thought in my head, because I'm just wired to be paranoid, honestly, with all my sports teams. I was thinking before Lindor hit that home run, I'm like, I'm scared that Nunez is going to get into a bit of trouble. It's not that I don't trust Nunez. It's just that I don't know how he's going to fare working 2 innings in a row. So I was like, I'm not going to like this if Diaz has to get up and come into the game in the 9th. But, by the way, Nimmo had a single. Martinez struck out. Again, didn't look competitive there. But Iglesias comes into play 3rd, and Nunez gets 3 strikeouts in a row. Like, why'd I ever even worry for a second? I don't know. But the Mets get the win. Nunez gets his first save. Butto with the win. It sucks that Christian Scott couldn't get 2 more outs to get his first major league win. But at the end of the day, the Mets get the win, and that's what's more important. And they did a good job, Carlos Mendoza, that is, at getting good innings out of the bullpen today, which I really am happy about, because this team desperately needs to start saving their bullets with the bullpen. And now you have a couple guys unavailable tomorrow, like Nunez and Butto, but you saved your bullets with guys like Edwin Diaz for today, which, again, it could have got ugly, and it could have been a scenario where Diaz would have had to come into this game, but you end up dodging that there. You still have, unfortunately, like Ottavino and Diekman probably available for tomorrow, which you don't want to have to use them. Hauser's available for tomorrow. Maton maybe will be available, and same with Young, Orsi. So at least you have options for tomorrow. But again, it sucks that you don't have like 2 of your better guys, because I think Jose Butto's like the 3rd best relief pitcher at this point, behind Nunez and Diaz. Although, do I dare say Butto right now might be ahead of Diaz for me until Diaz figures things out. I'm not saying in general. I'm just saying in that regard. But yeah, Mets end up getting the win, 49-45. That's their 5th win in a row, and now they're entering territory where they could maybe even like catch the Braves, which I don't want to get too ahead of myself on that. Hopefully they find a way to, but I don't know if it's going to get to that rate, to be honest with you. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But all I know is that I do want to check the Braves score actually right now, unless they play later tonight, which would be they're live right now playing the Padres. I don't know why I can't see the score of the game. I'd like to see that. They're on 1-0, so nice. So maybe we could be on scoreboard watch a little early for that in July, but still. But yeah, in terms of other final thoughts, like I said, I'd like to see, if I'm going to say one thing, I'd like to see the Mets flip their rotation around out of the All-Star break and really maximize the use of Christian Scott. But that's my final take and opinion. But maybe Senga's going to be back too, which Senga comes back. Oh, I would be so happy if they get Senga back to add to this. So I'll tell you right now, I will freaking go to whatever game Senga is pitching. I will be at that game first start back. But that is going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're a Met fan. Turn on your notifications so you know I upload or go live, and I'll see you guys in the next one.